to BizTech's C-Suite Conversation Show. Our guest for today is Sam Liu. He's the managing partner of NCS Group. NCS, which is a subsidiary of the Singtel Group, is a leading technology services firm with a presence across Asia-Pacific region and partners with governments and enterprises to advance communities through technology. Now, to tell us more, welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Now, Sam, for the start, could you give us an overview of NCS and its history?
Thank you. NCS is an organization that focuses a lot of, as you pointed out, on technology development. We have been in the market for more than 40 years. We started as an organization called National Computer Board, or NCB, and since then we've grown from strength to strength. In 1997, we were actually acquired by Singtel Group, as you pointed out, and to this day, we are still 100% owned by the Singtel Group, which is a major telco here in Southeast Asia, right, and in Australia. So as NCS, Gov+, which is where I belong, we focus a lot on our capability and solution in transforming the government sector. And by government sector, for what I pursue and I engage in, we actually develop different platforms and solutions for public service, which is really where all the ministries and statutory boards and capabilities reside to support and run a government function. Defense, which is really where we have the different types of military capabilities and the support and enterprise function that supports the military. And the third area is actually in homeland security, where I have solutions and capabilities to actually support agencies like the police force, immigration, as well as even areas like prison service, for example.
Now, Sam, NCS has a very significant footprint across the region and also in China, in a presence across 8 cities. The solutions and your remit, obviously, in terms of government solutions, are very, very interesting. Could you give us some insights into some of your defense capabilities, for example, which perhaps people don't really know about?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. So if I were to zoom in on some of the capabilities around law enforcement and defense, right? One of the publicly known example that we've put in place is a police beacon here in Singapore, right? So somewhere out in Punggol, you'll see this really huge structure, 3.5 meter tall, right? Imposing kind of a physical structure that does surveillance, right, in a very remote site in Punggol Park Connector. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that in the remote site where it's not frequently patrolled, there is actually video surveillance and video analytics and IoT solution, sensor solution that actually monitors the park, right, to provide safety for park goers during the day as well as at night. And it's gone on so well that we've actually put up a second one now for this police beacon in the Sengkang Park, right, as well. So these are examples of how we could actually use technology, data, and sensors, right, to actually support law enforcement as well as surveillance, right, in the parks.
And that's an interesting solution, because from a surveillance perspective, because I'm sure there's artificial intelligence embedded into that solution, that has also tremendous applications within cities itself.
Correct. Exactly right. Exactly right. And in fact, I'll add on another example, right, which I think have supported lots of different people in terms of COVID readiness and preparedness. And this is the Manpower's Mom Care Solution app, right? NCS worked closely with the Ministry of Manpower to actually build up this app to actually support our foreign workers, right, who are actually reporting their status from their health perspective, from a COVID perspective, right, to make sure that they are being tracked, as well as there's someone they can talk to and a medical professional they can actually relate to. The app has been very successful. We have had 1.1 million downloads alone by our migrant workers, and it support today more than 18 languages, right, to support different kind of a profile of workers who actually wants to actually seek help. So the NLP and the back to your point about AI and capabilities to interpret, right, some of these different capabilities are actually very strongly available, right, in the solution that NCS provide.
Now, Sam, because NCS is obviously carries the brand Singapore, which symbolizes quality really, and Singapore government solutions are known to be of high quality and homegrown, home developed solutions, as you mentioned, homeland security as well as defense. However, as you go across the region, going into specific government-related applications often requires partners. What is your go-to-market across the Asia-Pacific region?
Thank you for the question. It's a good question, right? You sound like my board now. We are very proud of ourselves and our heritage with the Singapore government and our Singapore solution here in Singapore, and we will continue to double down in our solution and our capabilities here in Singapore, because we are headquartered out of Singapore, and our relationship and our solution with the Singapore government is actually very sacrosanct to us, right? That's my first point. Secondly, in terms of exporting our government-related capabilities and solution to other parts of the world, it is certainly something that we would do, but we will also be very thoughtful about the solutions that we are going to be bringing across. Right. So for example, right, most of our solutions are fairly bespoke in nature to the landscape here. So they are not a direct fit, and we shouldn't actually be thinking that our good trustmark Singapore solution can be a out of the box kind of a lift and shift example for other governments in the region. In fact, if we were to do that, it's a surefire to fail. Right. So what we really want to do is to make sure we listen, right? We adapt, and there are capabilities that we could kind of model or develop or design, right, to make it fit for purpose for another government in another jurisdiction, which is very similar to us. For example, in Australia, where NCS have already expanded into and made significant investment and acquisitions, we are already, right, in a number of different government agencies, right, to expand our solution footprint in that landscape. So that actually will augur well, because right now the Australian customers will be able to also tap on the Singapore experience, and likewise the Singapore team could now tap on the Australian experience in government, right, to support what we are pursuing here in Singapore.
Now, obviously, Singapore and Australia, as you said, that while the solutions are very bespoke to Singapore, Australia is also, in terms of level of development, very similar. Both are very mature markets. And so the fit is probably a lot easier, and technology readiness to adapt is also a lot easier. Could you, Sam, share with us, in terms of your government strategic business group, some of your other customers across the region and the solutions that they have adopted from you?
Sure, that's a very good observation in terms of maturity of the government and the society, actually, in terms of acceptance of solution. And even with the maturity of societies, there are solutions that actually might not be a good fit. So in Singapore, I mentioned about a surveillance solution that's actually quite well received, I like to believe, in a remote park. But in another jurisdiction, right, a surveillance solution might not go on very well with the citizens, right, overall. So data privacy and privacy in general, right, is a main concern. Now, to answer your question about a market or a country perhaps that could be in an emerging state, right, overall, solutions that I find useful are typically solutions that NCS have developed on the cloud, right, that are more mobility centric, that can be exported easily and readily, that doesn't have a lot of changes in business process when we actually move into those markets. So those are solutions that do quite well, right, in an emerging market context. One example is one where we have a mobility solution that actually does a bit of a crowdsourcing, right, of ideas and reports, right, overall, that can actually be transported readily over to another jurisdiction. Right. Unfortunately, I can't go into too much details or specifics regarding the exact solution or exact jurisdiction, right? Because as you can imagine, right, the business of mine is one where we really have to kind of pay attention to confidentiality as well, right? In many parts. Right?
Now, Sam, because of the geopolitical challenges across the world now, governments around the world are accelerating their defense spend. And one of the key challenges is, of course, they having to change suppliers because of sanctions and the like. It's everything from the middle, and also in terms of strategically diversifying their defense supplier base. Do you see that as an opportunity for NCS, given your group, to then expand your market share?
Okay. I can't speak on behalf of my customers and how they view the geopolitical customers, but I can actually address the question to myself, right, in terms of what I see and how I intend to expand in the marketplace. So the geopolitical kind of concerns are real, right? Customers are looking at different suppliers constantly. NCS, right, coming from the Singtel group, right, and being based and headquartered out of Singapore, does have our advantage, right, being a more neutral country. I am limited actually by my population and the number of IT professionals that I have to export and to support. So I have to kind of adopt a strategy that is asset heavy, right, in terms of how I would expand asset and drive a more accelerator and asset driven type strategy in how I expand to other parts of the world, right, in terms of customers that signs up with me that wouldn't have to tap heavily on my headcount. But this also gives me an opportunity to express my view on how NCS then would actually be expanding on my IT talent so that I can use my IT talent to support some of these expansion. So for example, in Singapore, right, we have made a public announcement in terms of launching a program called our Fusion program. And Fusion is effectively a program where we establish a work study basis for our poly graduates to earn a degree here in NCS and to continue to expand and grow in their work, all this while pursuing their degree and achieving a promotion, getting a job opportunity with NCS on a project that could be overseas in terms of our expansion, right, with GovPlus, for example. And that's something that we're very excited and very proud of, because it actually will build up our Singapore talent, right, as well as give them opportunities to expand in the region.
Now, Sam, one of the smart things that NCS is also doing as a group, as a whole, is really you've recently partnered with FPT Software in Vietnam to launch the Strategic Delivery Center in Vietnam. You also have delivery centers in Pune and Chengdu, Pune in India and Chengdu in China. So that obviously gives you that leverage in terms of headcount, which you don't have in Singapore.
That's right. So we have always had our center in China, in Chengdu in China, right, and as well as Pune in India. Recently in August, we actually made a public announcement about our strategic partnership with FPT in Vietnam to develop really our NCS Strategic Delivery Center in Hanoi as a home location, right, to expand on the group of talent that we have in Vietnam. It is our express opinion that we want to grow the Strategic Delivery Center in Vietnam to 3,000 people by 2025. Right, the support of this Strategic Delivery Center, and that's why we call it Strategic Delivery Center, is really viewed as an extension of our IT talent, right, for our most important customers, and that's why the term strategic, right, to extend their capabilities into a hinterland of large IT skilled professionals like in Vietnam, right, and that's why the partnership with FPT, right, and we like that strategy and that idea, because we will not be able to grow Singapore, right, and for that matter, another matured market like Australia, doubling the size of IT talent and so forth. But we need to be able to see the projects and the engagement being extended into a hinterland that has a lot of IT talent that we can tap upon, just like they are our own here in our onshore location. And that's why the creation of the Vietnam SDC.
Now, Sam, looking ahead in the next 12 to 24 months, what are some key digital transformations trends that you see in the areas that you are responsible for, be it defense, whether it's homeland security or government?
Good question. So I think the proliferation of cloud services and cloud adoption will continue to increase, right? More and more capabilities are going to be put onto the cloud, right? And this strategy is a mega trend, and it's here to stay, right? Again, on cloud, the other trend that I'm seeing is that there will be a lot more conversations around hybrid cloud, where you have an on-premise and a cloud play, right? Kind of intermingle, working together. The third area is actually still on. Sorry, Brian.
No, sorry. I wanted to interrupt you, Sam, because
Yeah.
one of the things is governments are paranoid in general. I mean, on-premise has been largely the way to go, but what you've just alluded to is that a mental shift is already starting to happen.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I think the cloud has evolved since it started as just a pure kind of a public hypervisor cloud platform. I think more and more there are techniques, right, to ensure that we baked in the right level of security, right, for data sovereignty and whatnot. So actually, this is a trend that I'm observing, right, across actually many parts of the world, right, where we are actually seeing a greater adoption for cloud, even in the government sector. And that's why I mentioned about the hybrid cloud as a second mega trend, where we are seeing that even if you have a very secure compute nodes in on-premise, you are also kind of going to be having a need to actually interact with cloud service providers and cloud services as well. To add on another trend that I see, right, just to complete, that is actually around security by design. So we are seeing a lot more kind of emphasis, right, really on security and the need to make sure that what we build and what we support, including the various scans, vulnerability, and pen tests, for example, are actually well thought through, right, as we develop the system. And to wrap up in terms of key digital trend and digital transformation that I see popping up more and more, a government system or a platform developed for government agencies isn't just a functional system, right? More and more, I'm seeing customers coming to me or agencies coming to me to request for a system that is lovable, right? A product that people like, a product that's frictionless, right? And it's something that can drive greater experiential love, right? Or experiential experience, right? So in NCS, we have created a practice called the user experience practice that actually derives, right, satisfaction from building a product and refining the product that can be lovable, right, for citizens and for people who engage with the government.
Now, Sam, this is the first time I've ever heard of government solutions and the thought process around it being lovable. A lot of times we think of government solutions as being transactional. We go there, we do the transaction, and we get out. So I think that's a key takeaway in terms of how you are viewing it, really from a user experience and customer journey perspective, which we often would probably see more in a B2C context rather than a G2C, a government to citizen sort of perspective.
That's right, Brian. Yes, fascinating, isn't it? Right, that you know, our expectation, and I think it's kind of the par for course, right? If you look at citizens, especially in matured markets, we are expecting more from government agencies and government providers, and so it's no longer just, as you pointed out, a functional application or functional service. We want a product. We want something that we trust. We want something that's that we like, and we want something that's frictionless in terms of how we use and adapt our services and our demands.
Now, Sam, this has been a fascinating conversation and I really enjoyed it. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Yes, maybe more a broader kind of context. I think lots of time, I mean, from an adoption of technology or digital solution or capability perspective, we think about the frontiers of technology, metaverse, Web3, right, and all the good stuff that comes together, right? I think there is a place and a time, in fact, for us to go and dabble and push really the frontier of technology. But we also must remember, this is my opinion, again, my personal opinion, right, that we should also think about being fast followers of technology, right? Let other people fail fast, right? And then let us be fast in catching up and learning, right, from those mistakes, and picking the winners, right, and adapting very quickly, right, and especially for emerging markets, countries that are small. That's a strategy that cannot be obliterated, right? Because I think it is important, right? And it actually will drive a better return on your investment as a digital customer.
Now, Sam, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Now, we've been speaking to Sam Liu, the managing partner at NCS Group. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to Biztech C-Suite Conversation Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It'll also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.